Um, what's going on, people? I thought I'd make just a quick video to discuss the whole Mcnair situation. Obviously, those of you who follow American football are familiar with the news that he was murdered, apparently by his girlfriend in a murder-suicide situation. It was very saddening to me because Mcnair was actually one of those QBs that I actually liked. Very consistent, very tough. He wasn't the best out there, but he always gave his best. Um, but the reason I made the video was not even to discuss his football achievements. I mean, we kind of all know that. It was just to discuss the whole situation. And, when you hear stuff like that, it makes you think. Because I read about the girl that killed him. I think her name was Kazemi, Shahil Kazemi or something. And, on the outside, she looked like a really great girl. She worked hard. She was beautiful. Um, and I don't think anyone ever would have thought that she would have done what she did, especially taking Mcnair along with her. So that made me think a lot. And I've always said this. I always feel that, honestly, you never really know you never really know what people are capable of. It's not something you can always prevent. Um, but I do feel that I feel that there are certain warning signs. I feel there are certain things that you have to look at and beware of, because even though there's no guarantee that a person would not do certain things, there are certain things that can give you an idea. And what I mean is, this girl, for instance, on the outside, like I said, she looked great, very independent, very beautiful, hardworking, and she really seemed to love the guy. But I was reading about her background, and that girl had been through a lot in life. Um, her mother was murdered, and she'd kind of her parents had to run away from Iran because they were being chased out by, whatever political faction was in power at the time. Um, and she didn't have it easy. She left, she moved out to Florida or somewhere in the South with her boyfriend when she was 17. And she'd been working, ever since. She didn't have an easy life. Now, I'm not trying to judge anyone based on terrible life experiences, but guys, this is, from the heart. Be careful of the woman you date. Be careful of the woman you hang out with. I always tell people, a woman can look great at first. When you first date someone, they're not going to show you their flaws. They look great. And you're never really going to think that they're capable of doing certain things. And and you end up having to learn the hard way years years later, sometimes after you've already started a family, that the woman you married is not necessarily who she is. um, I look at the situation and it's like, whenever you see a girl that has a very messed up history, like something that bad in her life, you know I mean, if you really want to date them, it's your prerogative, but my advice, stay away, because those things mess up with your head. There's no way that if your parent is murdered or something at that early age, you're gonna grow up normal. It's gonna mess up with your mental state. So, and women are very emotional. So, like, when they snap, it's very sudden and very vicious. And actually, it's the same for guys. Ladies, if a guy has a certain history, you know, it's. I'm not trying to say anything, but just be careful, because they might have something deep down in their mind just waiting to come out, and all they need is an excuse. Um, you know, my advice for the guys, because I'm a guy, so I can speak from experience. When dealing with women, I always tell people, and a good friend of mine once told me this. He said, the secret to dealing with women is knowing how to look at the details. The truth about a person lies in the details, not in the whatever picture they're trying to present, you know, especially women, because us men, we are usually out there, you know, we don't have too many secrets because society raises women to be very guarded and distrustful of men from a very early age. Us, on the other hand, we are raised to treat women as saints most of the time, and Western society didn't really teach us to hold women accountable for their actions. It's something that we kind of have to learn on our own. Um, you know, no one is perfect, but there are certain things that will tell you, that will give you a picture of what the person is. Her family background, who's their mother. Because they, believe it or not, this might sound stupid, but most of the time, in my experience and from what I've seen, they turn out to be like their moms in their adult life. Who are their friends? The people they hang around with, because who you keep around yourself is who defines you. Believe it or not, because you're not going to spend that much time with people and not have some of their personality rub off on you or some of their habits. And what's their history? You know, what are some of the choices they made in life? Those are the things that will tell you, that will give you a clearer picture of how a girl is. Because a girl might look perfect. Look at Kazemi. She looked great. I mean, most guys would have loved her. Beautiful, hardworking. She would have been perfect. But if one had taken a closer look at her background, he would have started to see some of the cracks, some of the warning signs. And Mcnair had no business dating that woman. He was a married man, you know? And I don't even think he was planning to divorce his wife. I think she thought he was going to divorce his wife, and she figured he wasn't going to, and that's when she made up her mind. And he had a good woman at home, and now he's dead because he made a bad decision and got deceived by the looks and appearances of another person. And it's a very terrible loss because he was a quarterback I admired, and as a person, what he did for charity and for his town was very, very respectable. So, guys, be careful out there, because I've been in a similar situation where you have a good woman at home and you might want to go out there and do stupid stuff or might be tempted, but be careful because, there's always that saying, people always think that there's always someone better for you out there. Yes, there is. But if you have something good going on, or if you have something that, is not a bad relationship, if you have a good relationship going on, even if people make mistakes here and there, it's better to keep that. Because if you go by that belief that there's always someone out there, you're going to keep on using that excuse until you can no longer use it. Or, in the case of Steve Mcnair, you might end up dead. Just so, guys, pay attention to the details when dealing with women. That's all I gotta say. Just pay attention to the details and be careful, because if you're wrong about a person, you don't know what could happen or what could go wrong with you. You know? And my prayers go out to the Mcnair family. I just hope everything turns out okay for them, and it's a terrible, terrible loss. Later, people.